Hey guys, this is your host Nitin Binhani and a very warm welcome to my startup podcast channel Awardee, where we share real stories with real learnings. Worldwide, 19.3 million new cancer cases and almost 10 million cancer deaths occurred in 2020 alone. In fact, female breast cancer even surpassed lung cancer as the most commonly diagnosed cancer, with an estimated 2.3 million new cases. If that's not all, roughly 1 out of 8 US women develop invasive breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. And this led me to invite my guest, who is doing a phenomenal work for the breast cancer patients. My today's guest is Akriti Gupta, the founder of Canfem, which builds affordable breast prosthesis as well as mastectomy brassier for breast cancer patients. And in this podcast, Akriti shares her journey when a family member contracted cancer, which eventually led her to journey from NGO to launching Canfem, a startup dedicated to serve breast cancer patients. So, let's welcome today's special guest. Hi Akriti, welcome to Awardee and thank you for talking to us.
Hi Nitin, thank you so much for inviting me.
So, let's start with your background. What motivated you to launch Canfem?
Sure. So it all started when I was just 17 years old, and my father, his treatment for cancer started, and he was given just 10% survival chance. So that was my first encounter with cancer as a disease at a very personal level. So it is then when, with my parents, I started with the NGO Win Over Cancer, and I started working with cancer patients firsthand. We used to work on cancer awareness, early detection camps, and also raising funds for cancer patients. Then slowly I also came in touch with breast cancer patients, and I got to know that one of their breasts is removed and how they are forced to even use, things like polythene or diapers because there is no access to breast prosthesis in India as such. And just imagine a woman who has just lost her breast. She's not able to even gain basic access to lingerie. So again, that triggered us, and with my mother, we invented breast prosthesis and mastectomy bra. That is how my journey really started. It started via NGO, where we developed affordable breast prosthesis and mastectomy bra. We were giving it free of cost for a while. The technology of the prosthesis was approved by AIMS, by Tata Memorial, and other eminent oncologists and hospitals across India. And then I did my master's in social entrepreneurship from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And that's when I realized, during my research there, I realized that via my not-for-profit, I'm only able to serve a particular section of society, that is the underprivileged section. But there are people from middle income group or even upper income group who are cancer patients, survivors, and they're not able to live their life with dignity because there is no access to, there are no such products or services available as such. So therefore, that is how Canfem was started. It was started particularly as a college project, I would say, but we found so much potential in it that just after my master's, I launched it as a full-time social enterprise.
So how large is this problem of breast cancer globally, and what are the key problems that patients usually face?
So if you see globally, number of breast cancer survivors across the world is more than the population of Australia. Because, number one, new cases every year are growing every year. Mm-hmm. And number two, there is a survival chance. It is not so that when a cancer patient gets their treatment completed, they are done with the disease. There are a lot of problems that happen after the disease, and where Canfem is particularly focusing upon is that how we can make sure that cancer patients and survivors can live their life with dignity even after their treatment is completed. So we are trying to provide that hand-holding via products and via services. So if you say particularly for breast cancer, and if you see in Indian context, it is more than the population of Bhutan. So this is how big the problem is. The unfortunate reality is here that no one wants today anyone else to know that they're suffering from cancer. Even, cancer itself is such a big subject of taboo. Even when I personally went through this journey when my father's treatment for cancer was going on, for a while, we were also very much, sensitive towards who should know and who should not know. Because whenever we used to tell someone that my father is undergoing treatment for cancer, the first thing they ask is, okay, how many days does he have to live? That itself was so traumatic for the family. Then there are a lot of other issues, particularly related to breast cancer. Like, for example, women say that, if some people get to know that I am suffering from breast cancer who will marry my daughter. Even we have had cases like that. Or
Yeah.
even a woman, parents hiding this fact from their own children while the mother is undergoing treatment for cancer. Because, it is such a big subject of taboo and such a big subject that people just don't want to talk about. So, therefore, that is one of the biggest problems. And again, right now, because we are focusing on breast cancer, women don't want to talk about breast. So, again, we are not working on one taboo subject of breast cancer. I would say here it's three: breast cancer and breast cancer in general.
And how did you arrive at launching Canfem products? Tell us about your research process.
So I did my master's thesis on mental health issues being faced by breast cancer patients in India. So it was a legit research that I did to understand the entire journey from the moment they get diagnosed with cancer to their treatment and then even post-treatment issues that they face. So number one, I literally dived into the problem so much in deep that I wrote like a 120-page thesis on it. So first thing is that helped me out a lot to understand what they need and what is missing in the current system. So it was a multi-stakeholder study where we interviewed patients, we interviewed survivors, doctors, social workers, peer counselors, and it was all like the main tool used was in-depth interview. So number one, that, and number two, as I said, like, because to be honest, like, I have talked to thousands of breast cancer survivors till date because of my work in the NGO and otherwise. Since I have become an adult or even before that, all I have been doing is practically talking to cancer patients. This is, again, that brings a different sense of insights, a different sense of understanding, also a different sense of empathy. It's so very important while you're developing any kind of product. And we are trying to bridge the current system. We are not trying to create a parallel system altogether. We have wonderful doctors, we have wonderful institutes, wonderful hospitals to take care of all the medical needs that the patient has. But we try to identify that what these doctors or hospitals are not able to give. Maybe because of lack of exposure, or maybe because it is not their focus area, or maybe because they just don't have time. We have a horrible patient-to-doctor ratio in India. So therefore, Canfem is trying to cater to all these black spots, blind spots that are so very important for a patient's dignity, for a patient's quality of life, but are not being served. So number one is that. And then number two is also, as I mentioned, since 2015, I have been working with cancer patients. So I had a pretty much of established network. I had the kind of insights to even in the, I would say here, market insights on how this works. And that is how we developed our product. It took around 6 months to develop, but that is how we developed it. And yes, and with God's grace, it's going pretty well since then.
So what were the key challenges that you came across and how you overcame them?
So the biggest challenge that we faced, to be honest, was, we literally launched Canfem officially in 2020, around March, April. That's when the COVID period started particularly. And then also today we are talking about lingerie and breast prosthesis. This is a product that women wanted to try and then purchase it, or at least feel, because it is something that woman, is replacing something with her breast. Like for her breast, she's finding a replacement. And it's not just, like any other garment. It's so personal, it is so emotional for her. So again, that was a very big challenge for us, one of the biggest challenges. But again, pandemic also helped us out because I think before March 2020, I could not have ever imagined my mother buying garments online or even buying lingerie online. But today is the time when she has the most active online shopping apps on her phone. So COVID sort of brought a behavioral change at a big level that helped us scale across India. Otherwise, the kind of growth that we had planned, the kind of collaboration that we had planned in the first year itself, we could actually grow 2x, 3x by leveraging the behavior change that was coming along with COVID period. So number one is that. And number two, on a personal level, I would say here, it's my father who motivated me firstly to work for cancer and then even start, get into full-time into Canfem just after my master's. But unfortunately in December, we lost him to COVID. Again, that is a big personal setback that was to us, even to the organization, to be honest, because he was also one of the founding members, of course. Of course, there are challenges both, at professional and personal level, but it's just that, how you find strength out of those challenges, how you find opportunities out of those challenges or learnings out of them, and we just focus on reaching to more and more people.
Finally, what's your vision for Canfem? And could you share one or two stories of your clients that truly inspired you?
Absolutely. Number one, we have identified that today everyone is working towards making a cancer patient a survivor, but hardly anyone is focusing them get back into the society and lead their life normally the way they were living it before, leading it with dignity ahead. So that is exactly the vision of Canfem, where we are trying to integrate Canfem as one platform where we would be providing non-medical product service solutions to cancer patients and survivors so that all such their needs can be fulfilled. So we're trying to work with doctors, with hospitals and make their patients happier so that, again, they happily go to the hospital to get their treatment, to get their follow-ups done. So this is how we are looking Canfem as a bigger picture in coming years. Coming to some of the impact stories, so probably these stories are the ones that touch our hearts the most, from having like an old couple of around 60, 65 years old, especially traveling like 70 kilometers just to visit our office. I mean, the husband there motivating the lady that
Yeah.
no, please try these prosthesis, please try these bras, and please don't be sad. And the smile that you can see on such women's face, it's just amazing. We had another woman who visited us. She's a doctor herself. Being a doctor, she could not find a prosthesis in the market, and she has a daughter who's 4 years old, and she cannot tell her daughter that what has happened to her mom. So she was looking for a prosthesis so desperately, and she got to know about us. Again, she had to coordinate that because even during COVID time,
Yeah.
while she was getting her chemos done, she was still going on COVID duties. And therefore, she was looking that, I really need a prosthesis urgently. And we helped her out with it. It's really great. I mean, the kind of messages she sent later that, I had stopped feeling like a woman, though a doctor, still,
Yeah.
she said that it was a big hit on my femininity, but now I feel so confident when I'm going for work. Even when I'm with my daughter, I can hug her, I can bring her near me so that she doesn't get to know that one of my breasts is not there. So, it is these kind of stories that motivate us every day, work and reach out to as many people as we can.
So, with this, we have reached at the end of this podcast. Akriti, it was a pleasure to have you on Desire Audio, and thank you for sharing an inspiring journey with us.
Thank you so much, Nitin. Thank you.
Lastly, I want to thank all the listeners who took their valuable time to listen to this podcast. Keep rocking, be safe, and don't forget to share.